Hey guys, welcome back to my craft room and back to another craft room chat. I know I am a week late with this because I normally do my craft room chats on Sundays, but if you go and watch the live stream from yesterday, you'll understand why I didn't film a craft room chat for last Sunday. And that is why we are a day late on our March. Wait, is that right? Yeah. March book. Crafty book. So, sorry. I read Onward by Howard Schultz. I hope that's how you say it. But it is the How Starbucks Fought for Its Life Without Losing Its Soul. So, this I had assumed was going to be kind of like a motivational and like not like an autobiography, but kind of for the company. This is more for Howard himself. He wrote it, and he wrote it for himself. Like, it is very, I did this, I did that, which he is the CEO, but by the name, or the little explanation of what this book is supposed to be about, I didn't think that it was going to be all about him. But, I mean, we do get to, like, see, or, I don't know, it's a strange word, like, we don't get to see the people, we get to read about them. But he does a lot of, this person talked about doing this, so I told them, oh, okay. And then I decide to take their idea, add a little smidge of something to it, and then I say, oh, look at what I did. That's kind of the feel of this book. I don't know if that was intended or not, but that is exactly how I felt like this book was the entire time. Well, there are some parts that were like, okay, he was giving credit where credit is due, but most of the book, it's, oh, look at how great I did, or look at how great my idea was, or, oh, I thought of that before it already happened. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that kind of writing. I like to hear about, we came together, we conquered this, this person had this idea, and as a group, we did it. But that person thought of it, and we did it. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I'm not a big... See, I'm more into team players, rather than one person saying they did everything when, most of their ideas probably came from someone else. So... Another thing is, the book doesn't really... There's no timetable. Normally in books like these, I like to see in the front of the book or in the back of the book what's the word I'm looking for? Like a timetable of just, like, this date, this happened, this date, this happened, and like it was, dates correlating. Is that I think that's the right word I'm using, right. But in this book, it is like, woo! You are constantly being bombarded with dates, and you kind of have to, like, remember, like, oh, I think that happened during that time, and then, like, I think that happened during that time. So it would have been a lot easier if there was that time, like, sectioned out, or put the book in, you know, time order. Because my brain does not focus enough on dates to remember that happened on that day, and then when you read about something else happening on, like, the next day after that, or the next month after that, but it's in 3 chapters later, it doesn't work. So that's something I would have loved to see in this book. I did love that they added pictures. I do wish that they did, like, some other pictures, like a few extra tidbits of what they talked about. I know that's kind of hard, though. Something I learned that kind of goes along with crafting in a way. Because this was actually not very motivational. It was, let me see. It was kind of like took you towards being more sustainable, more green, and kind of thinking about the choices that you make with your spending, kind of a bit more on that side, rather than we're gonna build a company and yeah. Which probably goes along with the lines of, I did that, I did this. It wasn't, you can, have a great business if you do this. Something that I read in there that I really liked is the coffee is actually, like, grown in different sections. If a coffee tree is built, if it's planted in a place that is a harsh weather environment, it's going to have more expensive and fresher or fancier beans, because that harshness is actually making the coffee beans, well, okay. Okay, so in the book they talk about how coffee beans are grown in 2 different environments. If you get a mild to good weather, you're going to have rubbery but cheap beans. If you grow beans in a in a harsh weather environment, or just where they're planted, then it's going to be fancier beans. They're going to be more expensive, but they're going to taste a lot better. And it, like, clicked in my brain that, oh yeah, duh, because of the turmoil on the fruit, the coffee cherry, makes the seeds of the plant more tough. So that's going to make them more yummy. I don't know why that never clicked before, but I don't know, somehow that was like, oh, duh. So, because when the plant is subject to harsh weather, it needs to have a tougher seed because it'll think that it'll need that seed to be tough to like pollinate? No, that's not the right word. Like plant itself, you know what I mean? So that it has a higher chance of living. And that kind of made me think of crafting. If you are, continuously improving on yourself and using tools that, really push your creativity and things, like the challenges, and if you don't do those, or if you don't craft as much, you tend to lose that creative snap. I kind of think of it as like an elastic band, I guess. And that kind of goes along with those beans. Because if you are constantly giving your brain enough, elastic to see what it can do, getting it outside of that box, then I think you're going to produce something a lot cooler, a lot yummier, because your brain is able to go outside of its limits more than if you're not, crafting as much. It's not going to give you as much of a creative return. That's kind of the most crafty related thing I took away from this book, except for the, living more sustainably, more green, really thinking about your purchases, because they do a lot of donations and like fair trade and stuff, and I'm like, it kind of makes you think, how can I switch my purchases in crafting to be a little bit better, to help someone else. I mean, of course you still want a good product, so don't, this is all kind of what I learned, so, to take it with a pinch of salt. And also, I can't highly recommend the book because I did not like it. It was okay, but I would not recommend it. That being said, if you are interested in, learning about coffee, well, I mean, they talk a little bit about coffee, like making it and whatnot. And there's some little tidbits in there that, like, oh, that's how they make instant coffee? Like, oh, okay. Which I don't really know much about coffee because I don't drink it. I drink teas, so that's probably why I'm not as engulfed with this book, maybe. But I did enjoy the charitable aspects of it. That was pretty great. So, hopefully, I know there wasn't very much crafty talk about it, because it was hard to tie in. It was not what I expected. But I hope you guys are having a crazy day. Good crazy, not bad crazy. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.